converted man here, and I've got Jessica Zeno, warrior princess.
Yep, that's me, the warrior princess. Actually, yeah, probably. I'm a bit of a warrior.
She's never heard that joke before. All right, well, I stumbled onto you somehow looking for videos to do about God and
hmm
how wrong that is or whatever. I'm like, oh, it's an atheist. Okay, well, let's just invite him to talk. Whatever. It will be content, one way or the other. So,
Yeah, hey.
Jessica, you were a Christian, and now you're not, and you
Yep.
have quite the longer version of this, but we'll go over a shorter version of that. So let's start with the top. You were you raised a Christian? What version of Christianity? How deep was that, or how did you get into it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was raised a Christian. And my parents went to it was a non-denominational church, but my father is more Pentecostal. The way he grew up was Pentecostal, and all the fire and brimstone kind of guy that he still is today. But yeah, we went to a more like a storefront church when I was a kid, and then periodically we would go to my aunt's Pentecostal church.
Was it the sort of Pentecostal where they're dancing and it's kind of fun? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it was really fun at my aunt's church when I was growing up. They were kind of crazy and throwing
Yeah.
themselves on the floor and screaming and hollering. I mean, when I was little, I was just like, okay, I guess,
Yeah, yeah.
this is normal
Did
for this church.
yeah, yeah. Did they think that did they teach you how to speak with the tongues
Yeah.
to prove you had the Holy Spirit, and then if you didn't do that, then you didn't have the Holy Spirit?
Yeah, I've noticed that in her church, but we only went a couple of times when I was a kid. It wasn't until I was older and went to a Pentecostal church as an adult that I they would talk about the speaking in tongues and um, trying to prove your, I guess, salvation and how close you are to God in the church by being a speaker of tongues.
Yeah, I guess when you're a kid, you don't really. Yeah, it all kind of just like it's either church is kind of boring. You don't really
hmm
know what it's about or why you're there. You're just kind of like kind of know. You kind of get a little bit of it, but yeah. So
hmm
did you have kind of what I would call like an American Christianity where you would pray at dinner, but maybe it wasn't really like deep talks about God, or was it more like a really big deal, like you know, where
No,
you
it was more of American type Christianity, but um, my parents weren't even married, so it didn't really make much sense to me. I was always very curious as a child, so I would ask them questions like, "Well, why aren't you guys married?" And the pastor of our church said that they're married in the sight of the Lord, even though they're not legally married, and they don't follow the laws of the land, which their God also tells them to do. But um, I guess the pastor knew better than I did at the time when I was asking questions. Um, but yeah, they were Christians on Sunday, and then when Sunday night came around, everybody was just back to drinking and, doing weird things and um, cursing, having crazy parties. I grew up in a loud family that they loved their parties, and most of them were drunks. But then if I did something wrong that wasn't, godly or Christian like, I would actually get beaten for it. But
that's
my
not good.
Yeah. So the people that should have showed me how to be a Christian didn't do that.
Yeah, they weren't very good role models. Sounds like
hmm
it, it's good for me, not do
Yep.
as I say, not as I do, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I think sadly I've heard that story, every now and again where parents or whatever will kind of use religion as an excuse to be jerks,
Oh
not,
yeah.
it's like, well, who knows what they would have been like without the religion. Maybe they still would have been jerks, but
Mm-hmm.
they would have had the justification, so I don't know if that, I don't know, it just feels like it adds something to it when you can say, well, I'm hitting you with the belt because that's what God wants. And it's like, no, actually, no. But,
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. But yeah, so you continued to believe what, as a teenager, as an adult?
I believed up until I was about 12, because I just started asking questions, and then I just the way that my family were, living basically two lives. I just thought that they were frauds, and I wanted to explore outside of Christianity because I thought that there had to be something else. And so, yeah, I was around 12. I started going to the witchcraft store that was a couple of blocks away from my junior high school in New York, and made friends with the owner there and started buying books and reading the books and things like that. And I identified at the time as a witch up until I was 16. So, but I really actually enjoyed the occult. I thought that at least there was something more to learn rather than being forbidden from learning. Like I think that that's what really drew me in, was the fact that it wasn't so restrictive. You were still allowed to be a human being, and knowledge was power. Whereas when I grew up as a Christian and being so like my family being so strict with me, I felt like they were just trying to keep me stupid. And I guess maybe that's not the proper term, but that's how I felt. Like I felt it, like Christianity actually made me fearful and dumb, because you're not really allowed to look outside of the Bible for anything.
No, yeah, that I mean, I think that's appropriate language. I think it's your experience. Plus, I've heard many say that. I don't. I think
Hmm.
that it's true in many regards because you're not allowed to ask the questions, and of course you're asking questions, and it's like and so the kind of answers you got, I'm guessing, weren't very good, or did they even try to answer? Or
No, they didn't try to answer any of my questions. They just told
mm,
me that this is just the way that it is. And then who am I to question God? And actually still today, because I get into these debates with my dad, who's still devout Christian. He's like, well, who are you to like ask um questions to God? You're not allowed to question him. And I said, I most certainly can. If my kids that I created could come ask me questions, then why is the God that created everyone supposedly not able to answer any of our questions? He's responsible for us, so therefore he should be able to, humble himself and let us ask him questions. And since he doesn't answer, that just proves that he's not a real God. So
yeah, or not real at all.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So now you actually identified as a witch, but that separate then from Wiccan, or is it tangentially related, or did you make any distinctions there?
Yeah, I didn't really, even when I was younger, the word Wiccan, I guess it was just too new where I grew up in Brooklyn. The woman that I went to her witchcraft store, she was like an old school Russian witch. And she would teach us, well, it was me and a couple of my girlfriends that would go. She would teach us that that wasn't the way, that it was like new agey Americanized. So she taught us the old way, um, or what I thought that was the old way at the time. And so I didn't apply myself to learning like the Wiccan part of the craft. Um, I just basically I how do I explain how this? So I basically learned like herbs. I learned all of the symbolism within witchcraft, uh, the deities, if I wanted to pray to any deities, which I didn't. I didn't feel comfortable praying to any of them because I didn't think that any of them were nice. So, but I guess the animistic part of the craft is what I really liked.
Yeah, there is a atheist person on YouTube that does shows how to do different spells, and says, that they're not, they say, look, they're not real, they're not going to
Mm-hmm.
do anything, but there are placebo effect, and that you get, she gets great enjoyment from doing them. I try to, I'm very skeptical, so I'm just like, well, why would I go through all this ritual,
Mm-hmm.
it's like just to trick myself into a placebo effect. I don't get it, but okay, it works. It's something you enjoy doing, whatever. I'm not gonna, and you're not saying that it's actually real. Did you believe that the spells or incantations, or what you might call it, actually had some tangible effect?
When I was a kid, yes. I was very much into magic and mystical things. And I'm actually still today, I'm still drawn to them, but I'm an adult now and I know what's real and what's not real. Like I could watch Harry Potter and know that what he's doing there is never going to happen in the real world. But when I was a kid, I really thought that all of that stuff was true. And I was very superstitious about it. But I also think that that has a lot to do with the fact that my dad's side of the family are Puerto Rican, and just being a Puerto Rican, those people are very superstitious, even without being in um, Christianity or any other type of religion. So I think that I just grew up superstitious, and that I don't know how, I guess how, yeah, I guess it's just superstitious. That's
Yeah,
really
like
what it
certain
means.
certain words or deeds or
Hmm.
actions will make something. Usually, it's negative.
Yep, it's
You
never a
know,
positive thing.
well, yeah. I mean, it depends what it is. Because with more the borrowed superstitions that we have, broadly speaking, of four leaf clovers and
Hmm.
horseshoes and rabbits' feet and whatever else. It's like, well, those are lucky charms, which are magically delicious, but they're they're for good luck. So there's a counterbalance, but I think that other cultures have just, it's always like negative sort of curses, and
Hmm.
there's no positive blessing, or you can put the evil eye on somebody, but you can't put the good eye on them. So it's kind
Yeah.
of weird. um and I had that sort of magical thinking when I was younger, like as far as supernatural things, I would have been too scared to do anything to do with magic, because it was just so non-Christian that
Hmm.
I wouldn't have been able to go near it. So it seems like you had a belief. Now you were kind of multi into multi deities, like a pantheist almost.
Yeah, I studied a lot of them when I was a kid, so um, I guess I don't remember even believing that those deities were real. I just knew about them by what she would teach us. But I never wanted to pray or ask them for anything because they just didn't seem like they were wholesome. They were more like tricksters, if you catch my drift. Like you always had to give something back to them, and I was like, I don't think I ever want to owe any of these deities anything, just in case they are real, and then I'm screwed. So yeah, I never set myself up that way.
It's like dealing with Loki,
Right.
or the devil, or whatever demons, and you make
Yeah, like a
pacts with them.
Rumpelstiltskin or something.
Yeah,
Hmm.
right. So you adventured in magic for a while, um, and what happened? Did now you still believed in the Christian God, but you were also playing with these other ideas, and these two things can't kind of coexist, I
Right.
suppose.
Yeah. Well, I stopped going to church with my parents from the time I picked up witchcraft. I was really in the, I guess, a rebellious phase where I was just like, screw this, screw their God, because their God, is not making my life good. Like, if my parents are Christians, why are we living the way that we're living? Like, why are we being beaten? Why are we being starved? Like, why isn't anybody taking care of us? And I'm the oldest of 9, and at the time, I think there was just 6 of us, and our lives were really messed up. So, when I was 16, my uncle, his wife, and my grandmother, they scared me out of witchcraft. I probably would have stayed in it for probably up until now because I loved it so much. But they scared me out of it by making me read the book of Revelation.
Oh,
And
it's
so
demonic. Oh no.
yeah. So I was like, well, I didn't know, like I had no idea. So it's not like my parents had Bible study with us as a kid. I guess we were supposed to know everything, what was right and what's wrong, even though, it's really their job to teach us what their God wanted us to become. But, we had no idea as kids. But yeah, so they had me read that book and I read it through and it scared me. I was like, well, do I really want to risk um, chancing going to hell because I'm involved in witchcraft? And from then on, I guess from when I was 16, a couple of weeks after my 16th birthday, actually, I threw out everything that I owned that was related to witchcraft, and I started reading the Bible.
Hmm.
So from then until my 29th birthday, I was a Christian.
Wow.
And yeah, it
I mean,
was.
I can hear the loss there in a real way. That here's this thing that you valued,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and just to be yanked in a way like, oh, you can't have that because it's actually bad, and it's like, no, it's not bad. It's benign. It's neither good nor bad. I mean,
Right.
I suppose it's how you use it. It could, you get too involved in anything or whatever, it could be bad in that
Mm-hmm.
sense. But you know, magic's not real, and it's just illusions and tricks are. But that's what we call magic.
Mm-hmm.
But Christianity says there are witches and they're to be stoned to death. So
Yeah.
good thing that law didn't apply.
I know. I would have been burned at the stake.
Or yeah,
And still
yeah.
today, I think people like you and I would be burned at the stake right now because we would be considered evil,
Uh,
witches for going
it,
against Christianity.
in certain places, many atheists have to kind of be hidden because it's
Mm-hmm.
still there. Last time I checked, now I haven't looked lately, but last I looked, the Pew review, they do polls and whatnot, and it was like the least trusted group was atheists. So,
Mm-hmm.
although there has been, at least one congressperson that was an open atheist, but so far that's the highest that, you know, as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the term atheist was just a complete um, evil thing, I think. But I didn't even know about it until until I started getting into doing YouTube stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even know the word. Um, Nor did I even really think about people that didn't believe. I knew that there was other religions, but hadn't considered the idea that there's people that don't believe in any of this. What?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Come on.
Yeah. I think I was in my early 20s when I heard the word atheist. And I was like, well, how could they not believe in anything? Like, I
Yeah,
thought it was weird. Like, what?
you don't believe in anything. You believe in nothing. I was told that. It
Uh-huh.
was a video that I did recently. It was like atheists believe in nothing. I'm like, what? No, what? What do you mean by that? Like, huh? Like, do you believe? We believe in a literal nothing. Wait, what? No, I don't. What are you talking about? Stop
Uh-huh.
telling me what I believe.
I know. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's just that people are just so scared to see anything outside of this cult religion that they trick themselves to believe bullshit, really. And it's really unfortunate for them because, like I said, they're gonna just stay stupid. Like they will never educate themselves to understand or even try to understand anybody else's point of view. And they do themselves a really disservice by being so closed-minded.
Well, there are some that dabble, and I've
Oh
seen some
yeah.
that are open and intellectually honest and whatnot. But it's just, everybody's a little bit different. Depends on who you're interacting with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you were playing with magic. You got scared out of it. Now you're a good Christian again, and then something happens. What happens? Is there one event, many events? That are you still asking all these pesky
It
questions?
it was just one event. So from the age of 16 until I was 29, I um, was a devout Christian. I went to an Assemblies of God church. I was involved in the church. My kids went to church when they were really young. And then I was in a really bad car accident, and nobody came to visit me. Like no one. Um, my
Good.
Yeah, it was bad because I almost died and I had to get heart surgery. And
Wow.
yeah, my mother, the devout Christian that is holier than everybody else, she robbed my house actually.
What?
Yeah, she
Wow.
robbed my house while I was in the hospital. um and I was going through a divorce as well as at the same time. So yeah, she stole stuff from my house. She was supposed to be taking care of my kids. She wasn't taking care of my kids. And then they stole everything that was salvageable out of my car. Her and my sisters took everything. Um, so I come home to my house basically ransacked through. And then I had to move. So I moved. I ended up being on disability because I couldn't work. I had a lot of medical issues because of the car accident. And then with my heart healing, I was on disability. So I had plenty of time to sit and think. And all you can do is think because, the kids are at school. I can't go to work. So you're in your head all day long. So I
Mm.
just started thinking, like, where's this family that I supposedly had all these years that love me and are supposed to be good Christians, and the Christian friends and the pastors, and where are they? Like, where are they right now? Nobody's here.
Mm.
And so I started reading the Bible. I was like, all right, well, at least God will be there for me. But then I started really reading the Bible for the first time. And I just was not happy with what I found. It like contradictions after contradictions. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how the hell did I not see this all these years? And then I started going through the Old Testament piece by piece, and I was like, this God is not good either. Like he's murdering people, really. I mean, if you
Oh,
tally it up, he's murdered more people than Satan has murdered in the Old Testament.
yeah. It's uh, there's been comparisons drawn. It's about 3 that Satan did, and
Yeah,
with permission of God.
with permission, right? So then, who
So,
really is at fault here?
but yeah, and of course, Satan's the word the character Satan was invented. It's not actually in the
Oh yeah,
if you translate it correctly, it's not actually in there at all. So
yep,
so
I
it's like
know.
the host of angels. The host of
Uh-huh.
angels are responsible for 3 murders, with God's
Mm-hmm.
permission. Okay, well,
Yeah.
so it
Oh
sounds
yeah,
like,
that.
yeah. So here's, you had all these other deities that you didn't want to deal with, but here's this one that's really bad. Like in
Mm-hmm.
comparison, is this deity worse than those deities all combined then, or
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
wow?
would say that Yahweh is way worse than any of the deities that I learned in witchcraft as a child.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yep.
and once you start seeing the character of Yahweh, and I think this is very true. Many have said that, how they became an atheist is reading the Bible, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that when you hear the word reading the Bible, Christianity takes it piecemeal. You'll get a couple verses or a paragraph at
Mm-hmm.
church, and you'll get that from the pulpit, and you'll be told to read this or that paragraph or whatever, and when you read it, you'll read the certain stories, and you won't read it all the way through
Mm-hmm.
because it's so boring too. Oh
Yep.
my word. So
Yep.
and then if you do read it, it's like you don't read it with a critical eye, but once you actually read it with a critical eye, you're like, oh, wait a minute, wait. And if you know anything about science at all, forget about it. You read Genesis, you're just like, well, this isn't true.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
depending on your education and all that, because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't um, get very good scientific education until I was an adult. So yeah. Uh, but yeah, so you started thinking, well, that's bad. That's gonna land you somewhere dangerous. And then you started
Yeah.
reading the Bible. Oh man, what were you thinking? And then now you're thinking and you're asking questions and you're reading the Bible and you're like, oh, this God, this is terrible. And well, it could still exist though at that point. So what? How
Yeah.
did you decide that it didn't exist, or what was your thought process there?
Well, I started figuring like, okay, maybe that I need a different version of the Bible. This is my thought back then. Maybe I could find the oldest Bible, that we have and see if it compares with the King James that I have.
Oh
And
no.
and I was like, this is just and it took me to this horrible dark place because the more I dug, the more I realized like, wait a minute, Yahweh is actually the son of El, the Canaanites, God. And then I was like, but how could he be the son of El if he's the creator of all? And it took me down this really screwed up. And at the time, I was like, oh my God, like, what do I do? Like, my whole foundation is on this Bible. And I just I had to really sit down and take a minute and think, like, does it really matter? Like, does it matter that I've been duped my whole life? And, you know, I can't really prove that this God exists anyway, that's what I was trying to do as well when I was going on this wild goose chase for these older Bible versions. And I was like, well, I can't prove Jesus is real. I can't prove that Yahweh is real. I can't prove any of the characters in the book are real. So that leaves me with what exactly? And I just decided one day that it just didn't matter. Like, why am I going to put all my faith into something that can't be proven? You would think that this jealous God that they say he is would be so jealous that he would have to make himself known as the narcissist that he is because he's so puffed up and grand in this book. And so when I realized that the narcissist wasn't showing up, that he was a bullshit lie. So I decided to just keep on studying. And now I just find it fascinating that, nobody has, well, no, I shouldn't say nobody, but Christianity is such a large part of the world religion. And I felt like I needed to help somebody, even if I only reached one or two people with my YouTube channel. I was just like, at least I could help somebody so that they could sort this madness out in their heads and know that they're not alone. But
Yeah, that's
yeah, it
very.
was a long process to go through every
Oh
single
yeah.
thing. It was like, it's like trying to find hay in hay, like, like one strand of hay, and a heap of
Oh yeah,
hay.
yes. Well, then, of course there's the grain of sand, a heap of sand paradox. Right? It's like you have a heap of sand, you remove one grain of sand, and you still have a heap, and you keep doing that. At what point do you not have a heap anymore? And it's like, well,
Exactly.
you always have a heap, and you never have a heap because it's a concept. It's not an
Mm-hmm.
actual thing. It's like,
Yep.
yeah, I think that that's very much a human endeavor of wanting to not wanting to let people they're not to know they're not alone, especially if you were alone when you deconverted. It's
Mm-hmm.
rough. It can be really hard emotionally.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, it was really hard because I really was isolated. All I had were my two young kids at the time, and I'm going through a divorce. I don't talk to my family anymore because they robbed me.
oh yeah,
Um, like
yeah, that would that would
yeah.
do it, I
So
guess, right?
yeah, I was
That's
basically on my own. Yep.
And it's
So
like when it rains, it also rains poop as well, I suppose.
hmm
When it rains, it pours. No, 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 you don't understand. It was acid rain, and it was actually made out of poo, and it was
uh,
worse than that. Okay, yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
but you know
certainly,
what? I'm glad that I went through it because it made me a really strong person. And I was strong growing up because my dad taught me to be strong. But at the same
mm,
time, I wasn't as strong as I thought because I was always afraid to like not abide by how my dad wanted me to believe. And once I went through all of this alone, I was just like, you know what? I don't care if he likes it either. If he can't accept my choice, then he doesn't have to be in my life either. I started cutting everybody off that just couldn't accept it. Um,
mm,
and it sounds screwed up, but I was just like, no, I needed to take care of myself and do a lot of self love
yeah,
and self reflection.
you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anyone else. You have to
Yeah.
be stable emotionally and mentally as much as you can be. And it's,
Mhm.
if you need it, or even if you're not sure that you need it, you should get help, and get people that are out there to be around, because
Mhm.
that's important to have. Uh, and it's difficult for many atheists, because especially depending on where you live, if you're in the Bible Belt, or you're in the South or whatever, it's like, oh, there's lots of churches, where's all the atheists, where's all this?
Uh-huh.
I see, I kind of differentiate. I say, well, I'm a skeptic, and because I'm a skeptic, I'm also an atheist, and so I have that
Mhm.
label, although I don't know if the labels matter that much. Do you have any um, toying with the different labels, atheist, agnostic atheist,
Uh,
strong, weak, or do you just go, well, I'm not really that deep into all that?
Yeah, I don't I used to find like myself more animistic because I do love the planet, but I still don't trust or even believe in any of the gods that we know of on this planet.
Mm.
So, um I don't know. I just feel like who cares about the label at this point? Like
Yeah,
it
atheist works. Yeah, right.
I mean,
Well,
yeah, it could work or agnostic or whatever, but like I'm just
I don't believe whatever that is.
yeah,
Sign me
I
up.
just exactly, like, every single thing that I've read about with all of these different gods is they're just bogus, and I wouldn't pray to
so
any of them,
so you
that's for
definitely
sure.
so it sounds like you definitely don't believe in gods, you know
Mhm.
and well, do you have any belief of angels, or demons, or devils, or an
No.
afterlife, or uh, uh,
Uh, I guess it's
extrasensory powers, or anything like
oh,
that?
no. I think that we just don't understand our minds yet. Within science, um we haven't gotten to understand the brain and how it works yet to answer some of the questions that you just asked. But do I think that there's like an afterlife? Uh, I would like to think that there is one, but I don't know. So I talk to my kids and my husband about this a lot, and I just when we talk about it, I said, well, at the same time, I guess it just doesn't matter. We're all going to die someday. So I guess we'll see what happens when that time comes. That's really what my answer to it is, because
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's the
But
last thing that we're gonna do, so I'm
yeah,
not worried
exactly.
about it,
So,
you know.
and yeah, you have no control over it, so why
Right.
worry about it?
Yeah.
And it's going to happen when it's my time to happen, and hopefully it's not for a long time. I'd like to be old, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, I
before
signed
that
up
time
for the
happens.
until I'm tired until I am just sick and tired of it
Mhm.
club. Like, yeah, I'm gonna live forever until I say that's how it's
Yeah.
gonna work. Yeah,
Until you're just yeah,
sure.
until you're done.
Because
Yeah,
you know, and there's,
exactly.
like there's a button I can push, you know, or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, that yeah. And I'll be
Yeah.
like 1,112. I'll be like, okay, I'm tired of it now, you know. And I'll be the
Yeah.
first person. I'll be like, how did you live so long? I just decided that that's how long I was gonna live. That's how that works. You didn't know this
Yeah.
whole time? Oh, you just decide that you want to
Uh-huh.
live that long. Yeah, if I tell myself in my brain that, it makes me feel okay. So it's all good.
Yeah.
Not true, but you know, I can keep believing it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the magical thinking and all that. I think, you know, when you're not a believer in it being real, that you can learn so much more about it, of like, well, why does it work? Why do we believe in these incantations or
Mhm.
spells or prayers? Because really prayer is an incantation. You're
Right.
summoning the deity to do your bidding to some extent, you know.
Yeah.
And you look at rain dances. Well, you know, they dance until it rains.
Mhm.
Well, if you dance long enough, eventually it rains. You know, so it kind of it does work. You know, you just
Uh-huh.
have to keep dancing for long enough. You know,
Yep.
eventually
Even
you'll
if
get
it takes
tired.
weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Just keep going until it rains. And oh, okay, it rained. Wow, it must have worked. Yeah. Well,
Uh-huh.
and that's kind of the you know the thinking of the religious when you look at it is like, well, you know, this one goes like, you just keep trying really hard to believe in God and you just keep praying, and it's like, yeah, but like, how long are you supposed to do that until you die? That seems a
Yeah.
bit ridiculous. I mean, wouldn't it show up and be like hi and be like, oh, okay, well, all right, that is, you
Exactly.
know. But it's much more freeing because, you know, I think that's why people sometimes say atheists are free thinkers, because you can learn anything and it's not gonna ruin you again.
Mhm.
You can't be hurt. You can't have that rug pulled out from you again. You know, if you
Right.
wanted to get into magic knowing that it's a placebo, you could. And there's, you know, there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that inherently. It's not going to actually do anything, and you know that, and so it's not scary, and it's not, you know, uh, anything other than, you know, a pastime or a hobby, or it's just something that you can enjoy and have fun with and play with. And you know, you can learn all there is to learn about religions and beliefs, and none of it affects you, and that's I find that so freeing. That, you know, and I can learn anything about science and none of it's gonna hurt me, because it's just like, oh, that's cool, I didn't know that, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Ah, well, that's not, you know, it's like they took a measles virus and they changed it and reconfigured it to go attack and kill certain cancer cells. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh, that's amazing, that's cool. And they're doing something similar with the HIV virus, and it's like, wow, okay, yeah, yeah, you
Yeah.
do that. Now let's get rid of C-19, guys. Get on that. Kill that thing. I'm sick and tired of hearing about it. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I'm tired
I
of it.
know.
It's
I'm
been a
with you.
couple of years now. Can we just kill it? Just kill the virus. I don't care what you got to do. You know, and yeah, but you know, it's just much more interesting because you can learn anything, and you're not really, you know, afraid to learn.
Right.
You're not
Exactly.
stunted. You know, in fact, you want to ask questions. We have to ask questions,
Mhm.
and we don't always have the answers, but that's okay.
Right.
The mystery is interesting too. Um,
Exactly. That's what
and
it's all about. I think like just the unknown makes every day exciting, like, and then when you really think about it, like when, if the Christians are right, which we all know that they're not, and they're in heaven for all eternity, all they're going to be doing is praising and worshiping this God day in and day
yeah,
out. And it's like, how does anybody really want to do that all the time for all eternity? That I don't
it
know. I
sounds
wouldn't want to
it's
live like
boring.
that.
Yeah, it's boring. It's just like, oh my, there was this show called The Good Place. I don't know if you saw it, but they're in the
No.
afterlife, and they come up with that to make the afterlife bearable, you have to have a way to end it.
Mhm.
And I thought, that's brilliant. Yeah, because it's like, well, you've done everything. Because eventually you'll do everything there is to do.
Right.
If you have infinite time, you do everything. And literally, there's nothing more to do. So then what do you do? Well, do it all again? No. If you get tired of it, you can exit and you're just done. And that's it.
Mhm.
And I thought, oh, that's very clever. And I thought, well, if there's some sort of afterlife thingy, I hope there's some button that you can hit so you can be done if you want to be
Yeah.
done. But I'm going to encode mine with all sorts of passwords and stuff. Be like, are you sure about this? And I'll be like 20 of those things pop up. Are you sure? I'm like, oh man, what did I? Yes. Are you
Uh-huh.
absolutely sure? Yes. Have you read this agreement? No, I haven't read the thing. Install whatever.
It'll take you like 10 years just
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
cancel and unsubscribe.
Yeah. Are you sure you want to unsubscribe from existence? Yes. Really? No. Click here. Click on this window that's bouncing here, just to make sure, because I don't want to do it accidentally.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I mean, um, the way reality really is fascinating. Atoms and
Mhm.
molecules or energy. We have this giant universe out there, and so we're really small, and also we're really big, depending on how you look at it. We're the
Mhm.
way of the universe knowing itself. It's cool, and if there's a thing that we would call God, it's just so unfathomable as being anything like what we humans have come up with, because all of
Exactly.
these gods are very human. They're very
Yeah.
human, every single one. You go, well, Zeus, okay, that's clearly human like. And you go,
Mhm.
well, if you look at Yahweh is extraordinarily human, because
Yeah.
it's jealous, it's angry, it's frustrated, it doesn't know things, it changes its mind, it
Yep.
makes mistakes, it regrets,
He lies.
lies. Oh yeah, yeah. And then you have Jesus, and when you actually look at Jesus's words, like, he didn't really say anything really deep.
Mm-mm.
And there's not, people go, oh, he's such a good guy. I was like, yeah, he didn't, what did he say? He's like, follow me around. Okay. You're
Yeah.
the meek will inherit the earth. No, they won't, not unless they fight for it.
Mhm.
Like, if they're the only ones left, maybe. I mean, what do you're not that brilliant, but you have to be objective. You have to be outside of it to see any of that.
Right.
Um,
Exactly. Otherwise, my dad always says, but it's the greatest story ever told. The Jesus
I don't know
story.
about,
And
yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
there's better
no,
stories. No, no,
bro.
no, no. There's way better stories than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was so upset that at the fact that there were 15 other crucified saviors
Oh
before
yeah.
Jesus.
Right.
And he
And
was
then there,
like, "What? No.
yeah, and
No
then
way."
there's more interesting ones too. Like, there's the one that it gets cut up into little bits and pieces, and they go and scatter the pieces to the ends
Yeah.
of the earth, and like, I think they bury them or something, and then
Yep. And left the
eventually,
phallics out.
yeah,
Mhm.
they come out of the ground, or they get them, or whatever happens, and it comes back and assembles itself again. I'm like, that's way cooler,
Yeah.
you know. But I have questions, like you. I just ask all these questions. You go like,
Uh-huh.
okay, so you say like heaven isn't like in a place or time. So it's not physical. Yes. Okay. So Jesus ascended into heaven. Whatever. Yeah. His body. Yeah. So where's that? Where's his body? Well, it's in
Yeah.
heaven. Well, but heaven's not physical. So where's his body? Oh, well, it's uh, it's just
Yeah. Exactly.
it's there. I'm like, where? Where is it? It's outside space time. Well, how does that work? you know,
Yeah.
I have
They just make
questions.
up more like they add to the Bible. Like and when you say, okay, well, where does it say that in the Bible? They're
Well, it
like, oh,
doesn't.
well, it doesn't.
Right.
So
The
so you then
Trinity's
just
not
lied
in
to
there.
me
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. The Trinity's not really in there. It's just the concept. Loosely, if you look at it sideways, you can get the Trinity, but it's not.
Right.
I talked to this one guy, and I said, "Well, there is no Holy Spirit," and he's like, "Oh, that's blasphemy of the Holy Spirit." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Well, now I have to say something." I said, "Well, the Holy Spirit's a poopy head," and then he exited the call, and that was the end of that. I was like, "Well, I couldn't not say that. You said that I committed blasphemy. I might as well." Do whatever
Yeah.
you think that is, and I literally said poopy head. I didn't think it was that bad,
Yeah, it's
but
not like you used a curse word.
yeah, I know. I mean, I thought it was rather benign. I thought, well, God would have a great sense of humor. I mean, look what he did to our bodies. My
Uh-huh.
word. You put the entertainment and the waste disposal right next to each other. That and inside of each other and on top of each other. What's that about? That's gonna be a
Uh-huh.
good laugh, You lose a bet with Satan? I don't know, but it seems like, why did you put the air tube and the eat tube in the same location? So
Uh-huh.
why couldn't I eat like through my hand or something? I could talk and eat. That'd be great. I wouldn't choke. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, sort it out next time. Figure it out some other time. So,
Yeah, like I called Jesus a hippie to some Christian before. I was like, I think he was just, if he was ever a real person, I was like, he had to just have been a hippie that was
it
just,
was
high
yeah,
on
it was
shrooms or something.
one of
Because it,
many end times sort of preachers. If he and I guess somebody might have existed. I don't know. I go back and forth with that all the time. I go, I don't know. I can't believe in the Jesus that did miracles because I have no
no,
example of a miracle. So I'm like, well, that Jesus doesn't exist. So get rid of all the miracles. So you're just walking around telling people that the world was coming to an end,
yep,
basically, because he said, you know, you'll be here. Some of you will see it. Some of you won't. What was he talking about? He's
mm-hmm,
talking about the end of the world. That's what he's talking about. And he was one of many people going around and doing this. Uh,
right,
and it caught on. And I think part of it was it offered Jewish people a really great escape from the fees of church because you had to kill your best livestock
mm-hmm,
for Jewish beliefs. And they said, oh, well, you don't have to do that in Christianity.
yeah,
Oh, okay, well, sign me up. You don't have to sacrifice any animals anymore. You know, so that got in certain people. But then you see in other passages, Jesus also says none of the laws are passed away. Well, because some of the Jewish people like the laws, so they had to cater to both groups. They were trying to
right,
get more people in,
yep,
and that's how that works. It's just adopt whatever beliefs, whatever ideas were convenient to get more people in, and eventually Rome made it the state religion. Then it was, of course, super popular because, well, it's now the law. You
yep,
can't not do it.
yeah. Yeah, that's how they got all the Christmas and the Easter holidays in
Well,
there
yeah,
because
that
those are
came
all pagan.
centuries later. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So what do you make a separation of church and state very important, of course, and
Mm-hmm.
um, is there any, because do you think that religion is needed by humanity? Do you think we could improve religion? Do you think we'll ever get rid of it? What's your thoughts there?
I think that just by watching my kids' generation, that religion is slowly dying out, and it's going to be, I think it's going to turn into a more new age spirituality type of thing. Um, I think that the world could do a lot better than what we have as religion now. I think some people need religion, to be honest. I think that they need some form of spirituality at least, because if not, like people like my dad, they'll end up losing their minds.
Yeah,
Like the old school generation, I think that they actually need religion because they cannot think anything other than what they have been
yeah. It's not.
brought up understanding. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going away anytime soon. Certainly,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to try to force it, even if I
Mhm.
could. Make that very clear. I'm not
Yeah.
forced, but state sponsored anything. Because I know how well the government doesn't do anything. Whatever the government
Yep.
is. Like, oh, that government sucks. Well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
run by
Yeah, on
people.
both sides. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. Why does it suck? Well, people run it. Oh, okay. People
Yeah.
suck. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if we did it this way, it'd be better. Yeah. Well, if I was in charge, that'd make all these
Mhm.
changes and be all great. And yeah, no, no,
Yeah, and then
nobody
it
wants.
doesn't
Yeah, it
last
doesn't
long.
work that way. Nobody wants to do your changes. Why not? Just put me in charge. Trust me. Give me all the
Uh-huh.
power. I'll be good. I won't be evil much. To people that like me. I mean, just because I want to take over doesn't mean that you shouldn't give me all the power and all these. By the way, send in those women and yeah, serve me
Mhm.
some grapes and okay, well, okay, I've gotten corrupted. All right.
Yep. That's and you would think that by now we would know that this is what's going on because it's been going on for thousands of years
But
with the charlatans.
of course, and of course, religion isn't the only form of magical thinking. There's ideologies of all
Yeah.
sorts, especially political ones and whatever, that you have to be careful of because
Mhm.
we are pattern seeking creatures and we subscribe to good stories. We
Oh
love
yeah. We
stories.
love our
Yeah.
stories.
And so you hear conspiracy theory. It's like and it's like, well, what is that? Well, there are real conspiracies and then there are the things that I think we should come up with a new term because we construct this story based on what we know. We go, okay, well, C-19, where did it come from? Came from China. Okay, well, was it in a lab? Maybe, could have been,
Mhm.
probably. And you go, okay, well, China didn't like Trump, so they invented this to kill off Trump, get rid of Trump, but then it got out of control. Now I've got this story that's completely fabricated, but if it's the right sort of person, they'll be like, oh yeah, that sounds true. And then you elaborate and you get into all this, and then they killed this person by doing this, and you're like, oh, and before you know it,
Yep.
you've invented a story that's not, even if it was real, there's no way you could know it was real because you're not basing it off of any facts or data.
Right.
You're basing it off of bits and pieces here and there, across the net that you've assembled, and you too might believe in your own BS. So we have to be aware. I say skeptics or as atheists or whatever the label is, we have to be aware. We too can fall into a belief that isn't real, and we have to.
Exactly. Yeah, we have to actually do exactly what we did with the Bible and growing up Christian and go look at everything about all different subjects and see where they all come from and which stories make more sense to us before we ascribe to one, because it could get us into a lot of trouble. We could be believing more, like you get out of Christianity and then you go to something else, even if it's not a religion, whatever ideology that you come up with, or
Yeah.
and then you're in the same situation
You
again,
treat
but in
that,
a
yeah, if you
different.
treat yeah, if you treat it like a religion, like, I mean, I've heard people
Yeah.
go, well, my grandfather voted this way, so my parents voted that way, and I'm gonna vote that way. I'm like, well, there's no nuance there. There's no thought
Right.
there. There's no, anything going on. And who
Yep.
knows whether voting matters or not? I don't know. I don't pretend to know, but
Mhm.
certainly, going that way, you're not really, you're not really thinking, you're not, and it's hard, it's difficult because we have limited time and resources and energy, and it's like, I don't know who's running or what's doing this, or I don't
Yeah.
care, whatever. Write in my
Hmm.
own name, screw it, whatever.
I've actually done that
I
before.
did do, yeah, I did do that. There was like one that didn't have anybody running for it. I'm like, I'm putting my name in. I will be
Uh-huh.
the Department of whatever it was, agriculture or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, and then it's like, oh, congratulations. I'm like, oh wait, what? Oh no, I won. I don't know. No, I changed my mind. I'd take it. I would do it. I don't know what it is, but I'll do. I'd be the only honest politician. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be straight up with you. I don't know what I'm doing, but at least I'm honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say what makes sense to us might not be the best way to know what is or isn't true. Yeah, that we want to scrutinize it using maybe like something like the scientific method where you try to
Right.
prove it wrong. You say, okay, here's why this is. Even though I like this, it makes sense to me. I'm gonna try to prove it wrong.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what needs to be done throughout everything that we.
It's hard.
It is. It's very hard.
So have you gotten into philosophy stuff, or you more just like, this is, you have kind of a, what's your approach? I went the logic route, so I'm into informal logic a lot.
Hmm.
Some people are into the philosophical route, and some people are into some other things. So do you have any
I
thoughts or
was
inclinations there? Or?
I was just a mixture of a bunch of different things. But what I didn't do was like take the scholars and just take their word for what they said. I wanted to go do the research on my own.
Oh yeah.
Um, and that's what I did.
Well,
And
that
then
will
when
deconvert you. That will deconvert
yeah,
you real fast.
yeah, that's what I did. So like it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I heard of, specific scholars' names and like famous atheist names and such, because I had no idea who these people were. Um, but yeah, I just did my research on my own. I still enjoy I study right now astrology because I think that once people actually study astrology, which it was like when I was growing up, like no, you can't do anything that has to do with astrology because it's of the devil. But when you actually go and read it and learn it, you then make like the Bible makes more sense once you know astrology. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Well,
But
there's a passage, the stars have been put there for signs and wonders and
mhm.
things that will come or whatever, and you can think, well, that's the seasons, and it's like, well, yeah, but then there's also there's I forget what the thing was with Jesus, whether he was like Pisces or something. I don't know because
Yeah,
I
he's a
don't.
Pisces. And
Yeah,
the age of Pisces is when he came in. And then with the 5,000 fishes, it's all
symbolism.
right.
Yeah.
That's all that
Now
it is.
astrology is great because it doesn't. Yeah, all the stars that were Scorpio have now moved.
Hmm.
So now I'm not Scorpio anymore. I should technically be whatever else.
I know,
But
it's amazing.
that's
Well, actually, it
yeah.
goes by the day that you were born.
Yeah,
So
I
when
know,
you were
but it's just
born, then you're
but
still,
it's just
yeah.
so silly because it's just like those are stars that might not even exist anymore for all I know.
Yeah.
So I go with Weird Al's horoscope for today's song. That's the that's what I expect. I'm
Hmm.
gonna go fall through an open window, and I'm working on my low self-esteem because I'm a stupid freak, and it's all true, Okay. All right. Well, any other thoughts? Okay, let's do the most difficult one I've ever come across. They did this for scientists. I really appreciate it. Imagine 100 years from now, people would be looking back on this. What words of would you offer those people?
Oh, don't take anybody's word for it. Search out the truth for yourself.
Sounds good. But wait, if I take your word for it, then wait a minute. How does this work? I have to search out whether or not I should take your word. Once again, turn
Well,
off.
hopefully they don't take it that way.
No, I'll do what I
Hopefully
want.
they could trust themselves to know what's right and what's
Wait a
wrong and
minute.
what's
I don't
true
know
for.
if I can trust myself either. Oh no.
Then we have problems.
I'm all sorts of skeptical now. Okay, Jessica. Well, we've hit the mark, and nobody has any questions because everyone
It's
agrees
just
with
us.
you. You're well,
Yeah.
no, there's people in chat. They all agree with you. They're rewinding to catch up, and everything you said is right all the time. You're never wrong.
Oh, wow. I must be
Subscribe
God
to
then. Maybe I should write my own Bible and
You
everybody could start
should. Well,
worshiping
no, look,
me.
you got to just sign up for the religion I've already tried to create, but nobody cares about. One of these days. Well, I got actually one person did, so I'm gonna keep bringing up the lobsters until somebody else does. So, like I wrote, there's this Bible called the Lobsterist. Okay, you got to debunk it. This one guy read like just he's like he went over it and he was kind of cuckoo. He liked me too
Hmm.
much, and I got scared of him, so I blocked him. He was like making videos about me like every day. I'm like, okay,
Oh, that's really
that's
weird.
good. That's good enough. We're done now. Goodbye. But
Wow.
he actually did a video on the lobster. So I was like, yeah, somebody did it, but he didn't debunk it. So I'm waiting for somebody to debunk it. Nobody has.
Uh-huh.
So until they do, it's real. It's real. It's all true. Lobsters rule. Everything lobsters exist. It's true. Okay. Wait, what? Okay. Yeah. All right. I was seeing if Yin Yang had any questions for the end. I know he comes up with questions. Ask
Oh, yeah.
Jessica a question before I hit the button. I'm my trigger figure blah, 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 whatever the what I don't know words. This is the part where I go insane because I can't. The words aren't. Yeah. Uh, what would you say to those still strapped to the floor looking at the shadows? Ah.
Oh, I've never heard anybody ask a question in this
It's
way.
the allegory
It's
of the
very
cave.
nice.
Yeah.
I like this. Hmm. Look at. Well, it depends. It depends if they can see the light or a little bit of the light. Um, if they haven't seen any part of the light and they're still stuck in darkness or in the shadows, how could you open up their minds to see anything that we're trying to say to them? But if they're open-minded and are questioning their faith, then I would have to say, what do you got to lose? Like go ask questions, go read other books, learn. Don't be afraid. And eventually, you're going to feel more peace than you had with Christianity if you deconvert like we did. I think that my life is a lot better than it was ever. So, yeah, what do you have to lose? Why not go question it all?
Mm. Okay, I'm gonna rephrase this question.
Hmm.
Just to irritate Yin Yang because he likes being irritated by me. We're good friends. What advice would you give to your you used to believe in the past? So, what advice would you give to those that I would say like almost giving advice to your past self would be
My
how I would
past self.
reword that. But so you're giving advice to people that used to be like you. Uh, I guess that's yeah.
I don't think that there's any way to get through to somebody like how I used to be as a Christian. Um, they're just so brainwashed. I know for me, if I have to, I'll use myself as an example. If I could go back in time and talk to myself, I think that my past self would have thought that I was either a demon and I'm just trying to come back and trick me, and it's really not me from the future. So I would have to say that sometimes there isn't anything that you could say to a person like who I used to be. They have to actually go through something that wakes them up out of that dream in order for them to see anything other than what they were brainwashed to believe.
Mm. It depends on the person. I mean, because I was a
Yeah.
believer, and it was atheists that made me started asking questions, and so you never know who you're going to convince or not convince or whatever. That's their path, and
Hmm.
I don't try to deconvert anybody. If they get deconverted, okay, that's their, maybe their brain has to believe in God for all I know, and
Yeah.
that's okay as long as they're reasonable with that, and they go, it's just faith. They're not saying that no, there's really a God. They're saying I have faith in God. There's a difference there, and
Right.
I don't have a problem with people saying I believe X. I do have a problem with people say X is true, because I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
it's time to prove that. I'm all over this.
Yeah, like if they're rude about it and they don't want to hear like, my what I think, and and they're rude, well then we could go toe to toe. I'll be rude right
Oh
back.
yeah,
That's just the way that I
it
am.
just depends who it is, right? Yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah, like if they're
Everyone
gonna be a
faces it.
jerk,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh
if they're
well.
gonna be a jerk, then we're gonna have to just be both
I've
jerks to each other.
I've never ever been a jerk online.
Oh yeah, I've been a jerk plenty of times because some people need to get the same treatment right back to
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
you
yeah,
know
but
that.
I've also gone off hinge because just that's how I am sometimes.
No,
Like,
I'm
we're
with
not
it.
gonna we're not
I'm the
gonna talk
same
about
way.
that. Yeah.
I'm the same way. But like my husband is a good example. He's Catholic, actually, my husband.
Oh dear,
And
he's
but he
unequally
doesn't.
yoked.
I'm sorry.
He's unequally yoked.
Oh yeah, yeah. But you know what? He doesn't really care. Like he's like the Catholics don't take this as seriously, like most Catholics anyway. And
Well,
he was like, he
depends on
doesn't
the
even think.
Catholic, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, his family does it, and the way that, where he grew up, they don't really take it seriously. They just like this is what they believe. But he doesn't even think that Jesus was a God.
No,
So
yeah, yeah.
so I can deal with a person like that, and I love my husband obviously, but I like people like him because he will end up him and people like him are open-minded to have really deep discussions about theology. But
Right.
who I used to be, 10 years ago, there's no way that I would be able to talk to myself back then. No way. Or any
Right.
person like me.
Yeah, I mean it'd be worth a try. It'd be certainly interesting to do, if you could do that.
Hmm.
I would of course just take myself to the past and say, "See, here's where Jesus isn't." Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that did that. All right, I convinced myself.
Hmm.
But also then I changed that thing that I did, and
I think I
uh
probably would have had a better chance talking to myself as a teenager before they brainwashed me with the book of Revelation.
oh yeah, yeah.
Then I would have been able
I
to
was
talk some
deep
sense into
into that.
myself.
I read that book more than any. I read it so many times trying to figure out what it was talking about or saying, and it was
Yeah.
only once I became a skeptic I was like, oh yeah, it's about King Nero. Okay,
Hmm.
that's it. That's what it's about. All right, yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right. I wanted it to be all this trees. No, it's not. It's just a cut. Well, why is it in there? Because it seems like a good end. It's an
Yep.
end to the story. They needed an end to the story.
That's a
So
little frightening, a little good. Hmm.
yeah. All right. Well, let's go subscribe to Jessica Zeno if you want, and you know, send her money because she's gonna get rich off of being an atheist. Somebody predicted that to her in the past, and I'm bringing it up now, even though that was off air and nobody knows about it, but now they do. And they're like, "What? That didn't make sense." I'm like, just trust me. Send her money. Don't think about it. Stop asking questions. Send Jessica money. If you want to send me money, you can do that too. Whatever. I don't care. Do whatever you want. All right, Jessica. Leave you. I can't words. Leave you with the final words because apparently my mouth doesn't want to work anymore. And then I will hit the button. Take it away, Jessica.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. And I mean, if you ever want to do it again with different topics, I'll be more than happy to come back. It was really great to have this discussion with you.
Yes, thank you for being here. And Oh yeah, if I come up with some other topic, we'll do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
I don't
sure.
know. All right, and I'm gonna hit the button now. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay.
All right, now she keeps saying words until I hit the button.
Bye.